Three, two, one. Welcome back to Ash on Comics. I'm Ash, and here's today's comic, The Next Batman. Future state, it's here. You're either reading it or you're not. I don't know. I'm not excited about this. I don't know if you are. I'm going to try to do a quickish review on this book. It's going to be tough because there's like 3 comics in this. And I just got to say, right off the bat, it's sad when you're doing a Batman book and you have 2 backup stories and they're not Batman stories and they're better than the main story, which is why people are buying this. If you're looking at this cover, chances are if you're a buyer, you're going to come in the store, you see this cover, you're buying it because of this cover. Because you like Batman and you're like, "Oh, look, Batman in a cyberpunk future. The cyberpunk video game's out. Cyberpunk's all the rage right now. Everyone's all excited about, that cyberpunk future, dark future stuff. Like, this is like, yeah, give me that. I want to see Batman in Blade Runner. Maybe not everyone's that way, but I think that's what the target audience is. Now look at this cover. It's interesting. I'm not sure I like this for comic books. They outsourced it to some guy who does computer generated art. This is obviously, it's a digitally rendered city. It's bothersome for one major reason. And this is it right here. They got the artist is Nick Darrington. Oh, look. I'm not going to say Nick Darrington's a bad artist. He's not. He definitely, he knows he's got some good storytelling. If you look at these panels here, I like the visual angles that he's got. It's very interesting. A lot of modern artists are very flat. A lot of just straight on, eye level, horizontal vision. Like, I appreciate that for Nick. But his style, his illustration style, it's not fitting for mainstream comics. At least not like your main lines. You're going to do a Batman 66 title, I'm going to call Nick Darrington all day long. Like, there are certain titles I think he could do. I'm not big on it for Batman, and especially future Batman. If you watch my other video I just did on Dark Detective, look at, completely different art style. I know it's 2 different books, but they're both Batman, and they're both in this dark future, and they have a completely different visual style, and that's jarring. I don't think you should do that. However, you can see the art on the page. There's only so much I can do. You see it yourself. You be the judge. It starts off with a guy running in an alley, and the whole theme of this is the more it's Gotham City, the more things change, the more they stay the same. We get a shot at Batman. This is written by John Ridley. He's the Academy Award-winning writer of 12 Years a Slave. So, he's sufficiently diverse, let's just say. And so we get Batman facing this guy with knives in the alley, unknown guy. We get a fight, and it's there. This guy attacks him. Batman punches him, kicks him in the knee, does stuff. Police show up. Hey! Because, it's a dark future. Batman's an illegal vigilante. And we get this line, "No, I need that," as he rips off his mask. "What are you doing?" "Saving your life." "They all got what they deserved. Every one of those bitches. Even if it's not worth saving." So we can see here that this guy's a really evil guy. Cops are going to get him. But I guess Batman doesn't want the cops to have to shoot him. All right, so I guess, sure. Batman gets away, cops, and then the cops are there like, oh, it's the Batman, we should get him. But this is the East Side rapist, and they're like, his partner's like, forget that, let's just take our promotions, get this guy. Okay, we get the scene. It's a future state. It's dark, dystopian future. Batman's illegal. Cool, I'm okay with that. Whatever. Then we get this line. Cutting it too close. I can't start mixing it up with the police. I don't know how the real Batman ever. Nah, check that. I am the real Batman. And this is my city now. And I will protect it. Is that how you want Batman? This took me right out of the book. I was like, I'm on page 2. When was that? Sorry, page 3. I'm on page 3 and you're already record scratch moment. I'm like, look, I know you're going to throw in the stand-in Batman. This is just when Falcon got to play Captain America for a while. This is Luke Fox getting to play as Batman for a while. But you don't need to throw this line in, right? You're already expecting fans to try to, embrace this. Don't shove it in their face and be like, nah, I'm the real Batman. No, you're not. You're a pretender. And it just made me have this gut reaction and be like, you're a token Batman. You are a character who failed in his own identity, right? As Batwing, as a wannabe Batman. No one cared about you. And so what you needed was for DC to get rid of the actual Batman that we know and love and put you in the costume and call you Batman so that people could be forced. You're just forced down someone's throat. I hate that. You want to run around as Batwing? Fine. Do it. Why can't you do exactly what you're doing as Batwing? Why? Well, we know why. Because Batwing won't sell comics. But Batman will. And that's what makes you a token character. Because it was an excuse to put a minority character in the cowl, like all of these future state comics are. And you might be listening this far and saying, Ash, oh, you're just sound like a bigot, all this stuff. No, I'm not. I love New Age of Heroes. It was a super diverse line. But it wasn't there throwing it going, look at all these diverse characters. They never once even mentioned it. But with Future State, it's all, you're taking all these other characters, you're sweeping them to the side, and you're replacing them with woke versions. But what other reason is, it's frustrating. And especially when you throw it in the face. But whatever, that's not what I'm just being transparent with you about my feelings. It just annoyed me. So, apparently, Luke Fox is rich enough to be Batman. I'm guessing he runs Wayne Industries now. Because his mom says, don't be like Bruce Wayne. It's very unclear to me. I probably missed something. Someone's like, oh, Ash, didn't you read this comic? Okay, I'm sorry if I'm... There's a million freaking comics out these days, and it's hard to keep up with all of them. So, he lives with his mom still. Batman lives with his mom. I'm rubbing my eyeballs. So she's an attorney and she's part of the fascist group that wants the oppression in the city. Great. That's awesome that Batman's mom is she's not part of the Magistrate. She's a lawyer that makes the Magistrate legal. She's whatever. So apparently it's because his sister, her daughter, got hospitalized due to something with a mask, which means a hero. And there's a line that Duke says here that really bothers me. Again, one page later, I'm like, okay, Ash, put this aside. How do you feel about it? Okay. And then Mom blames what happened on Tam, his sister, on the masks. The ones who are bad. And the ones who think they're good. And I was like, you freaking hypocrite. So basically, I'm reading this saying, on the masks, the ones who are bad, and the ones who think there's two kinds of masks. Bad ones, and ones who think that they're good. Meanwhile, Luke is going to go off and put on a mask and be, I'm just like, oh, so. Anyways, so we get this cult of Bane because this has never been done before. And they live in Little Santa Prisca. Because apparently Santa Prisca, there's so many immigrants flooding in to Gotham City from Santa Prisca that they have to make Little Santa Prisca, right? Like, this is so ridiculous. It'd be like having a section of town called like Little Gibraltar or something like that. Like, Santa Prisca is such a small just anyway, it's silly. But of course, look, because these guys are Bane. You know, see, get it? It's Bane. He's from Santa Prisca, and so we get this trope of kids being brought into the gang. They got a blood in. We got two brothers, older brother, younger brother. The younger brother, of course, is the more idealistic one. He's the more innocent. The older brother's like, I know what I'm doing. Trust me. And the gang members are like, come on, we're the only ones that care about you. You just got to go kill someone and prove it so we can make you family. And it's just so common trope. And then we get the hospital scene where Luke shows up to see his sister. And guess who's there? Oh, it's a bad brother. And all of a sudden, I feel like I'm reading Days of Our Lives. This book is all about just the drama and the social interaction, these characters, the inner strife of the family, and this older brother wasn't there for the sister, and Luke's mad. And so we got this character who goes out and saves murderers who just knifed up a bunch of quote unquote bitches, and he's like, I'm saving your life. But the brother who just wasn't there because he was busy is a total asshole. I just don't understand this Luke Fox character at all, but I fucking hate him. I hate him. Then we probably get the most well-written scene of the book is at these batting cages with two characters. I have no idea who they are. It's Chubb and Whitaker. And he's her ex-partner. He's quit off the force. They had some dialogue or whatever, and it's cool. It's kind of cool, but it ultimately is meaningless. 2 pages that don't have anything to do with the story. So I'm not going to bother going any further. His review is going to be too long as it is. Maybe in future issues, future states, 2 months long. I don't know what. So the kids, now they're driving around looking for someone to kill for these kids. The kids are unsure. Just as one was about to shoot this guy, the brother's like, no, don't, and he has cold feet. And then the guy pulls out, and they're going to fight, and the car's going to run around. And then Batman shows up. And they're like, what the hell? Oh, it's Batman. And we get Batman, and we get an action scene. And this would work probably really cool in a movie. Like what we're seeing here on the right-hand page. This whole sequence with Batman jump on the window, like, and they're like, oh, shocked, and then they shoot, but he's away, and then they see the truck. It says smile, get it? And then they crash, and then Batman leaps around, and this would probably be really cool if it was in motion, if this was film. The problem, John Ridley, is you're not writing a movie, you're writing a comic book, and Nick Darrington is not up to the task to look as cool as it can be. And I gotta tell you, in this day and age, having multiple pages of Batman just beat up random street thugs, it's not exciting. Like, oh look, there's Batman beating up street thug. Wonder what's gonna happen. Is the street thug gonna beat up No, he's not. When we get this line here where those kids, the peacekeepers will kill them. Who are they? Where'd they go? Man, I don't care about them punks. Let the cops smoke their hides. Do me a favor. Stay here. And he knocks him out so the cops can get him. Now, that line is there to show us, like, aha, get it, dear reader? Because earlier the kids, there's basically telling the kids, like, oh, we're the only ones you can trust. We're your only family. Everyone hates you. And here's the line so that we now, the reader, know, oh, they never cared about the kids after all. So the kids are on the run, scared and alone. I can already hear sirens getting closer. The peacekeepers will shoot on sight unless I get to them first. So he stops and confronts the kids, and they're scared. And we have this whole dialogue, and it's so derivative. I don't know a better word. It's just so like, you've seen this before. The two brothers, one's led astray. The younger brother's like, no, because he's more innocent, so he's not as corrupted. Trying to get the older brother to listen to him. Batman's trying to, set him straight. Then the magistrate shows up. They shoot on sight. Batman tries to rescue him. Now, this was interesting. This page over here on the right, I didn't understand what happened at first. And so this is the part where I have to blame the artist. I just said Nick Darrington was a good storyteller, but not here. So Batman points his little gun thing, and then it goes, and part of it pops up. And they're like, fire! And then, boom, we see one shot goes up and one shot goes forward with the little grappling hooks. And I was like, what the hell's happening here? And of course they miss. And the next thing we know, we're up top. And I was like, what was the point of that? Why was one shooting forward and one going up? And I didn't know. I had to go back and forth. And I was like, oh, so this panel over here, the brother's running away. And maybe this is just me. Maybe I'm being too critical. But I had to read. A couple times I was like, I'm confused. He's pointing at the running away brother. One grapple gets him and one goes up. And that's how he's got the brother here. But it wasn't clear. Like, until I really started thinking about it. And then I was like, oh. And I don't know. One of my little nitpicks is like, you shouldn't have to stop and think. Like, it should flow naturally. Total quibble. I'm going to retract a little bit. Anyways. When you do these type of videos like that, you start getting like over analytical and over critical. And then someone else is walking down the steps and like, oh, there's another gang. The more things stay the same. To be continued. And that's the book. That's it. This is John Ridley, Academy Award winning writer. He writes, Batman shows up, saves a murderer, has some talk with his mom. Some gang members try to recruit some kids. We get some family strife at the hospital. Then we get some drama at a baseball thing. And then other kids are going to kill. Batman saves them and gets away from the magistrate. And then now there's some thugs with some ruby faces. I honestly, I just don't. I hate the character. I hate Luke Fox in this book. I hate the way. I don't really like this art. Tamara Bonvillain's coloring's good. I mean, if I want to say something nice, it's not awful. It's not offensive. It's just dull. And it was forgettable. I read this book earlier today, and I had to reread it again because I was like, I don't even remember what happened, like, to do this video. That's not a good sign. Now, here's the real problem. This book is $7.99. Okay, there's more. So we get a story with Katana. Now, at first I was like, I'm just not into Katana. And that's weird because I am a huge Japanese lore type samurai buff. Like, shit just, I love it. Katana feels wrong to me. It feels like what DC would do what DC did with the samurai, and it's just lame. I don't know. She's flying around in a jetpack here. But this artist, there's something about this artist that really grabbed me. Now, comics are a visual medium, and I was reading this, and I was interested. And now we have not Luke Fox, we have Duke Thomas, and I get these names jumbled in my head. So if I screw up the names going forward, you know why. But Duke Thomas, aka the Signal, he's looks like he's trying to get these people out of Gotham. And I like this panel right here. It's a lot over exaggerated, these facial expressions. Like, it's cartoonish. I get it. And I'm not praising this guy as the next Jim Lee. Okay? Just understand this right now. But this is a guy I've never seen before. Don't remember ever seeing before. His name, I don't know, it'll be later. As an up-and-coming artist, I think this guy has got potential. When you think of a comic art, it's the first thing I think most comic readers think about when they're new to comics or they're early into comics is just how aesthetically pleasing are the illustrations. Do they look pretty? Do you just like to stare at them and look at them? There's nothing wrong with that. But there's more to it. There's the storytelling aspect from panel to panel, much the way a cinematographer would approach a film, how you tell the story visually so that the reader can follow it, not just with the words and narration, but follow the movement. You know, as panel to panel, your mind fills in the blanks of how you got from A to B, you know. But then also on top of that is the dynamic shots and the angles, interesting angles that just keep you visually engaged. And this, I think just this 2-page spread already does that. We see Katana flying around in a jetpack. We see below, we see Duke Thomas in his car speeding down. And the way that angle is and the speed lines, it's just interesting. I like the close-up of the eyes here and how you just introducing these characters. It starts off, Katana, she's flying around. Then the signal, the intensity in the eyes, and then the action shot, right? Then we cut over and we can see, again, I know this is exaggerated and, 5 years from now, maybe this artist gets cleaner and better. He doesn't do this. But this exaggeration, to its credit, sells the panic in these passengers' faces. It's a little cartoony, but I'd rather it be overdone than not well done, and he does this leap on the car, little Dukes of Hazzard there, if you will, Duke Thomas. They leap off the bridge. The Magistrate are going after him, and Katana intercepts him. And apparently, the Magistrate only have authority to work inside Gotham. Once you get outside of Gotham, they don't have any jurisdiction. And she knows this, so she challenges him. They open fire on her anyway. This is something I didn't know about Katana. Now, I'm a big Katana novice, so forgive me, but put in the comment. Has Katana always been able to block bullets like Jedi style like this? It's kind of, to me. I'm like, what? Wish she could just sit there. Okay. But whatever. I don't know. It's the first time I've ever seen it. So, she beats him up, and this is the Outsiders. So we get an outsider story. And it actually kind of makes sense because they call Gotham the inside. And now it's like, welcome to the outside. So the Outsiders. Get it? Okay. So this is written by Brandon Thomas, and the penciler is Sumit Kumar. So I guess remember that name. Again, the art's not perfect here, but I just love... Look at this page here. Just you get the basic panels. Again, over-exaggeration, cartoony face, crazy eyes. But it's there to show, like, oh my god... welcome to the outside. I just like this. I like how the framing, the layout here, showing the Gotham Bridge and the car, and then over here, on the right, some interesting paneling, and I just like how she takes off. The camera is basically on the ground, pointed up. It's just a really cool, creative visuals. I like it. Then we see, we're talking to Maseo, her husband. I haven't read a lot of Katana, but I haven't read this dialogue so much where she's talking through the whole book, talking to her husband. and having a one-sided conversation. Basically, you can only hear her. You can't hear Maseo. And some of you, the long-time Katana fans, are like, oh, yeah, I see it all the time. But the stuff that I've read before, like Brian Hill, we got a little bit of it. She done that, but not the way it was here. And I really liked it. And then talk about creative scenes. Now, this isn't the first time I've ever seen this done, but I don't often see this done. So she's invading this complex, and this is like, I used to draw panels like this as a kid. I used to have fun drawing action scenes of military soldiers fighting, and I would do this real two-dimensional thing. So this kind of, I appreciated it on that level. I had a little bias towards it, but I just really liked how this was done. Remember, I talk about telling the story and action scenes, and I was mentioning before how it was on the other review where I did Dark Detective, and it was the grifter story, and I was talking about how I don't like artists that don't know how to tell action. Compared them to movie directors, this is the opposite. Each square, each panel in this. How do I say this? All the floors of this building and the rooms are their own panels. And we start off, and you can identify Katana very easy because she's got her glowing katana, and she's replicated throughout this building because obviously the movement's supposed to be happening. And I just like, you can follow the action. She flips over these guys, cuts them, goes into the next room, and it just, take a look at this. I think it's just freaking cool. Slice and, comes through this room here. She slices through, goes down the steps on the left, and then get into the next room. They're trying to block her. She throws down her sword, cuts, and then she cuts through the building. You can follow it, and you're like, where does she go next? And you just look for the sword. You see over here, and then she goes down the stairs, and then comes down over here. And then she meets Caliber, who was from the Brian Hill run of The Outsiders. I really enjoy this, and I'm smiling looking at this again. It's not the most well illustrated, but it's a fun sequence. And she confronts Caliber, and we get this standoff. I'm not a big fan of Katana's costume, but whatever. And we get a cool standoff, some cool dialogue. We get a cool fight scene, and yeah, it's really cool. Now, Katana, this is one of my little quibbles. The art of the sword of samurai is there isn't, how do I say this? Like, it's not a type of sword fighting style that involves parrying. Parrying is very Western, like fencing. Western sword styles are very much parry with the blades. Samurai, it's like when you swing, you cut. It's like one cut, one swing, one cut, one kill. It's hard to. I wish I'm getting all tongue tied on how to describe it, but the point is parrying is not yes, there can be parrying. I'm not saying parrying doesn't exist, but she just does a shit ton of it. She's blocking bullets, now she's blocking his punches, and it's cool, but it's just, anyways, I'm getting off in the weeds because I'm just a nerd for this, so most people would be like, who cares? So you probably don't either. She gets in a fight, stabs his arm. It's pretty cool. Then soldiers show up for backup. It's a really cool fight scene. And the whole time, we hear her talking, and she's like, oh, talking to Maseo, like, I think he'll be surprised too. And you're like, what's she talking about? And that's when the lightning shows up. That lightning, why is it black? That's such a great, like, now immediately as you say that, you're like, why is the lightning black? And who's showing up? It's Black Lightning. And I thought this was such a cool, I'm not even a Black Lightning fan. I was like, this is a cool entrance. So he shows up, starts blasting the hell out of people, and they retreat. And then we hear him say to Katana, Tatsu. Jefferson? What's happened to you? Jeff. Huh? And then she realizes that something's wrong. She's back. She swings at him. Oh, sorry, Tatsu. So it is true. You've been cursed, Jefferson. Only a dark magic could have done this. That's not important now, Tatsu. And he takes her sword. And then you're like, what? To be continued. He says, the magistrate, they've planted someone here with Duke on the outside. And so you can see, probably that guy. And it's like, next, Future State, Batman #3. And immediately, I'm interested. Now, the weird thing is it's not going to be in Batman 2. But here's the problem. This isn't the Batman story. Your backup stories aren't supposed to be better than your primary stories. This was way better. It was so engaging. And I don't even really like the outsider characters. I don't like Duke Thomas. I'm not a Black Lightning fan. Katana, like I said, but the action was exciting. It was creative. The situations, the dialogue. I really liked the dialogue of Tatsu with Maseo talking to her husband and the fighting. It was all cool. Then we move on, and I was like, oh, there's a third story. And we see more guys shooting at drones. Don't really know what's going on. But you get revealed that it's Arkham Knight. She's back. You remember her from Detective Comics. She's got her little legion of knights. And they're kind of like this resistance. They fight the Magistrate. And I thought that was pretty cool. And how do I say this? She was mildly interesting when I read her Detective Comics story. And they introduced these characters. I was like, okay, this is cool. Batman's got to stop these guys. But this writer found a way to tell a story with these characters that was very interesting to me. It's your basic rebel, your resistance group fighting against the stormtroopers type thing. We see right here, Peacekeeper number 12. The Magistrate, that's what they are. They're essentially like the stormtroopers. And they're rebelling. Now, here's the thing. You may recognize, you got Clayface, Two-Face, Dr. Zsasz. There's a bunch. I don't remember them all. But they're all like crazy Arkham villains, right? Arkham Knight, I forget her name. She's the daughter of Arkham. She's trying to heal them. She's trying to redeem them, to get them to like be able to function back in society and give them purpose. And in a sane world, that's very, very difficult, right? But now the world's gone insane, and she's found a way to utilize them because they have no reason, no love for the Magistrate, and the Magistrate's going after to kill Killer Croc. So she gets her group. They save Killer Croc, eventually recruiting him to their cause, and he swears loyalty. They operate out of Wayne Manor, and all of this is like therapeutic to them, and she's a good leader. The way this is written, I really liked how we had of Dr. Phosphorus, this guy over here. He's in such incredible pain. He's constantly basically burning. It's making him, he's insane and mad because of this. He's living constant torture. He can't take it anymore. And all she cares about is helping him. And she swears, we're gonna find a way to fix this for you, do whatever. There's a cool line where, he's like, he's trying to hold it together, and he's like, I'm sorry, I don't want to be a burden, but it hurts more with each passing hour. Dr. Phosphorus, Alex, don't show fealty. Sorry, don't show me fealty today. You need to see mine. I'm so sorry about your pain. We will find a cure, I promise. And when we do, You'll stand with me beside your brothers and sisters, and a new day will dawn for you. Because you can see here he's kneeling, right? And she's like, no, I will show you fealty. And I was like, it's such a simple thing, but you just don't see it often. And it made me feel like, wow, she's a powerful leader to do that. And you could see like why these people would follow her. And that made her such an interesting character. And I like Peter Tomasi. I think Peter Tomasi is a great writer. I like the story with the Arkham Knights he introduced. And this built upon that. And I was like, I did not expect this at all. So we get the Magistrate still on the run. The story in itself is pretty basic one. A lot of exposition. You can see all these little dialogue boxes. That's a lot of world building and setup, explaining who these people are, why they're doing it. But I was engaged the whole time. And the story sets to like just essentially show us who these characters are and what their purpose is. And I was shocked. This is Paul Jenkins, writer, Jack Herbert, artist. Not blow me away type of stuff, but good. We can continued in Batman #3. Weird. So this is chapter 1. I don't really know where this is going. Now here's the thing. So this is over. There's 3 stories in here for $7.99. 2 of them are good. One of them is just 2 of them are, and when I say good, yeah, they're good. They're good. But overall, I got to give this book like a 2 stars. And you're going to say, why, Ash? Like, we get because no one was buying this book for this story or the Outsider's story, right? You didn't know that there's nothing on the cover telling you about that you were buying Batman. This was a surprise that showed up, and you're like, whoa, okay, that was fun. But you didn't buy that for that, and hence, you may not even be as interested. You might just be like, whatever. They're fine. It's going to make the book more, I guess, interesting to you. But you paid $7.99 for Batman. Not to be, bait and switch. Oh, surprise, you got Arkham Knights. And you got like, that's, look, if you're going to do a 64-page book, 64 pages of Batman. I am not a fan of anthologies, especially anthologies that aren't advertised on the cover like anthology. Like, hey, look, there's 3 stories in here, and here's what they are. This is a Batman book with 2 backup stories. You see what I'm saying? This isn't an anthology. It's Batman with 2 backups. So the backups, they don't count. Now, you can disregard that rating if you're just like, I don't care, Ash. Those stories sound great. I won't read them. Then maybe this is a 3 or 4 star book for you if you love these stories that much. The problem with me is also these stories aren't really going anywhere, right? Future State's been advertised. This is a temporary thing. Then we're going back to the things. So these are stories that should have been put in an anthology. They should have done a Future State anthology book or a micro imprint of Future State stuff where you could tell these stories off to the side, where people didn't, not interrupt the DC universe, and you could pick these up and go, oh, okay, I'm curious. But this is supplanting the current DC books. I'm missing the books that I like for this. Maybe I'm too sour. I admit I'm predisposed to be bitter about it, but I think I'm being fair. Paul Jenkins, you did something good with these. Made it interesting. You at least made Arkham Knight a much more interesting character to me, so that's a good achievement. And the star of the show, honestly, was, for me, that middle story with the Outsiders. I'm really curious to see where that artist goes. Anyways, thanks for watching. Tell me what you think down in your comments below. Your comments down below. Tell me what you think. Did you read this book? Do you agree with what I said? Do you disagree with what I said? Do you have a different take? any of this information sway your opinion on whether you'll be interested in getting the book or not getting the book. It's all subjective in the end. If you love this book, awesome. It's not a terrible book, but at if this was a $3.99 book, $4.99 book, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can recommend it. I just can't. Not $7.99. No. Thanks for watching.